You're listening to the Shaughnessy Group podcast, insights on buying, selling, and growing Canadian businesses in the lower middle market. Let's begin.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive, where we dig into complex topics and try to pull out the practical, usable knowledge.
Great to be here.
So today, we're talking about something that, for a lot of you, for any entrepreneur, it's the finish line. Selling your business.
It's the culmination of years, sometimes a whole lifetime of work. It really should be this moment of, incredible satisfaction.
It should be. But it's also a minefield. The goal is to protect the value you've built, and there's one specific tactic that can just shatter that.
Yeah.
It's this thing our sources call a retrade. Before we get into how to stop it, what exactly are we talking about here? What is a retrade?
So a retrade is when a buyer tries to change the deal. They try to renegotiate the price or the terms after you've already agreed.
After the handshake, after you've signed that initial letter of intent.
Precisely. You think you have a deal, you've probably popped the champagne.
Yes.
And then, usually deep in the due diligence phase, they call you up.
Though we found something called...
That's the one. They'll say they've discovered a new issue, maybe a tiny financial error, some liability they supposedly overlooked.
Or they'll just say the market shifted.
Exactly. And they use that new information as leverage. They threaten to walk away unless you knock 5, 10, maybe even 15% off the price.
And they're just banking on the fact that you're exhausted by then. You're so far down the road, you just want it to be over.
100%. The buyer knows you have sunk costs, you've invested time, emotion, and your other potential buyers have probably moved on. All the leverage swings to them.
Wow. So it can crush your final payout or, I guess, kill the deal entirely?
It happens all the time. So our mission today is to unpack 9 really essential proactive strategies that successful business owners use to build a kind of shield around their deal, to make sure that transaction is as smooth and as profitable as possible.
Okay, let's do it. So the first steps seem to be about acknowledging you don't know what you don't know. You have to build a team, a protective perimeter.
This is the absolute foundation.
Yeah.
You have to start by bridging the knowledge gap. I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
You, the seller, you might do this once in your entire life.
Right.
The buyer,
Yeah.
especially the private equity firm, they do this every month. They are experts at this.
That imbalance is terrifying, which I guess makes the first strategy, getting professional mergers and acquisitions advisors, M&A advisors, a total no-brainer. How do they actually stop a retrade?
Well, an M&A advisor is your champion in the process. They know the game. But crucially, they run a structured process designed to create competition. And competition is the single best defense against a retrade.
That makes total sense. If a buyer knows you've got 3 other interested parties who are ready to go,
They're not going to risk losing the deal over a 10% haircut. They'll behave.
they'll play nice.
They will. Our sources really hammer this point home. Owners who try to sell all by themselves in what's called a proprietary deal, they almost always leave a ton of money on the table.
So you get the M&A advisor, the human expert, and then you immediately get the legal expert to back them up. So, specialized M&A legal counsel.
Yes, this isn't a job for your regular corporate lawyer. As great as they may be, M&A law is a specialty. You need them involved from day one, drafting and reviewing that initial letter of intent.
And what can they do, like, right at the start? Is there a specific clause or something?
A great M&A lawyer can put in what's called a no retrade clause. Now, it's not a magic bullet. It's not completely ironclad, but it sends a very strong signal.
Okay.
It tells the buyer, we're serious and we won't entertain opportunistic negotiations based on minor details later on. It sets the tone for the whole deal.
So we've got our A-team. Now we have to get our own house in order. Because, like you said, the trigger for a retrade is almost always a surprise found during due diligence.
Right.
We have to control the story.
Absolutely. The next block of strategies is all about eliminating surprises. And it starts with the most basic thing, your financials. They have to be thorough and transparent.
Okay, that sounds obvious, but what does thorough really mean here? What are they looking for?
They're hunting for inconsistencies, errors, aggressive accounting. Really, anything that suggests your business isn't as solid as you claimed. Your balance sheets, income statements, tax returns, they have to be perfect.
So the best defense is a good offense.
Exactly. Hire a certified accountant to do a pre-sale review, maybe even an audit. They can anticipate what the buyer's team is going to zero in on.
And what about, weird one-off things? Like, say you got a big government grant during COVID, or you had a massive one-time expense last year.
You have to call those out. clearly. You segregate them and you document them. If you just leave a big, weird number buried in your operating expenses, the buyer will assume it's a permanent problem and use it to justify a lower price. You have to show them the true, sustainable earnings of the business.
Okay, that makes sense. So if that's the baseline of transparency, what's the ultimate power move to prove our books are clean?
That brings us to the next strategy. This is where you go from defense to offense. You commission your own sell-side quality of earnings report, a QOE.
Hang on. So instead of waiting for their accountants to dig through my books,
You hire your own independent firm to do it first.
to basically pre-vet everything.
That's it, exactly.
Yeah.
A QOE is an independent analysis of your true earnings. It finds all the red flags, all the potential issues, before the buyer ever sees them. It gives you a chance to fix them, or at the very least, prepare an explanation.
That sounds like an investment that would pay for itself multiple times over.
Oh, it absolutely does. It completely changes the conversation. It's no longer, hey, your numbers look a little funny. It becomes, here are our independently validated numbers. Let's discuss the valuation.
Okay, financial house in order. But business isn't just numbers. There are always weaknesses, right? The next strategy is about being radically transparent, disclosing strengths and weaknesses.
Yes. And this isn't just about being ethical. It's a defensive strategy. Let's say you have a major weakness, like one customer makes up 40% of your revenue.
You're tempted to hide that, or at least downplay it.
Of course. But they will find it in diligence. And when they do, they won't see it as just a business risk. They'll see it as a breach of trust.
And that gives them huge leverage.
Massive.
Yeah.
But if you disclose it up front, you control the narrative. You say, here's the situation, here's why it is the way it is, and here are the steps we're taking to mitigate that risk.
And at the same time, you're obviously shouting about your strengths, the loyal customers, the patents, whatever makes you great.
It's about presenting a balanced, credible reality,
Yeah.
not a fantasy. And speaking of fantasy, that takes us to the next point, making accurate projections. You have to underpromise and overdeliver.
It must be so tempting to inflate those future growth charts to get a higher valuation.
It's incredibly tempting, and it's a classic mistake.
Yeah.
If you promise the moon and then 6 months into the deal process, your actual performance falls short.
They've got you.
They've got you. They will point directly to that miss as justification for a retrade. Your credibility is just gone.
So be realistic. Be honest about the market, the challenges. That way, if you just hit your numbers, everyone's happy. If you beat them, you're a hero.
Precisely. Long-term credibility is so much more valuable than short-term optimism.
Okay, so company is prepped, paperwork's airtight. Now we're at the table. This is the final phase, right? Leveraging all that prep work to actually manage the buyer.
This is where it all comes together. And you have to start with understanding who you're dealing with. The strategy is simple. Know your buyer.
What does that mean in practice? I mean, beyond knowing if they can actually afford the business.
You need to research their history. Have your M&A advisor dig into their past deals. Do they have a reputation for this? Are they known as a retrade artist?
So some buyers are just known for this tactic.
Oh, absolutely. Some firms build it into their model. If you know that going in, you can build much stronger protections into that initial LOI. You also need to understand their motivation. Are they a strategic buyer who wants your tech? Or a financial buyer who just wants to squeeze every last dollar of profit out?
That knowledge helps you anticipate their moves.
It helps you structure the entire deal defensively.
Which leads right into the next point, the price itself. Digging into the valuation basis, understanding how they even got to their number.
Right. Sellers get so focused on the final number, the headline price, that they don't ask how the buyer calculated it. What assumptions did they make? Did they assume massive growth that's, totally unrealistic?
Because if they did, they can just use that later when that growth doesn't happen.
You got it. It becomes another weapon for a retrade. So you have to insist they lay out their assumptions clearly. And again, this is where your advisors come in. Have a chartered business valuator or your M&A team review the buyer's math to make sure it's based in reality.
Okay, this all leads up to the final moment of power, the last strategy. Negotiate while you have leverage.
Buyers want one thing above all else early on: exclusivity. They want you to sign that letter of intent and promise you won't talk to anyone else.
Yeah. And as soon as you sign
Your
it,
leverage drops like a stone, so you have to resist the urge to rush. You use that pre-exclusivity period to negotiate all the key terms, not just the price.
this is where having those other offers from the M&A process becomes your superpower.
It's everything. It lets you negotiate for the things that really protect you long term. Things like strong employee transition plans or fair terms on any financing you might be providing. It's about protecting the whole package, not just the sticker price.
That is, wow, it's an incredibly comprehensive plan for defense. So, to wrap this all up for you, our listener, the core message here is that selling your business isn't passive. It's an active, strategic defense.
It really is. Proactive planning, getting the right advisors, being radically transparent with your financials, using things like QOE reports, and negotiating from a position of strength, that's the only way to protect yourself.
That's a powerful thought. And maybe to take a step back from the tactics, the ultimate proactive move is to really think about your own goals. Not just the money, but what are you going to do the day after the sale closes?
That's a fantastic point. If you know what a successful future looks like for you, personally, you can structure a deal that gets you there. It ensures the whole thing is actually rewarding in the long run, not just a big check.
A really insightful way to end it. We've covered a ton of ground today on how to protect the value you've spent a lifetime building. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive.
My pleasure. And we should also give a special thank you to the Shaughnessy Group for providing these incredibly detailed insights.
Yes, absolutely. And if you're looking for more resources on M&A strategy or selling a business, you can visit their website right now. That address is shaughnessy.group.
Shaughnessy.group.
We'll see you next time.
This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not professional advice. Consult qualified advisors for your specific situation.